Welcome to Asake Online. My name is Lesley Moyo. The program is Fix My City. We focus on service delivery issues that affect the city of Bulawayo. A lot of Bulawayo residents have been asking themselves when the Egodini Mall project will be completed. Remember, in 2016, a South African firm, Terracotta Private Limited, was awarded a tender to construct a multi-million-dollar state-of-the-art shopping mall and bus terminus. The project was meant to redefine the city's public transport system and modernize it to meet international standards. But since then, nothing much has happened, and this has caused frustration and murmurs from a cross-section of the city's population. This week, the Bulawayo City Council, together with the constructors, had a tour of the site to see the work that has taken place. In April, the Bulawayo City Council had promised that commuter omnibuses and informal traders would be relocated to the site, but that did not happen. So this week, the media was allowed into the construction site to see what is taking place there.
Last time we had said that just in the project process, we'll just split it into 5 simple areas, which was planning approvals and what we called enabling works, which was applicable to our project, civil works, top structures and commissioning. We said obviously depending on each project, the weighting is different, but the weightings that we had been looking at for our phase 1 of the projects are there on your far right. So I'm just going to go through them again just to recap to see where we actually are. So if we start with the number 1, planning and approvals, obviously that was done and completed a long time ago. They were the service providers who helped us with that. If you recall, we keep track of who we're trying to use. We also try to make sure that we incorporate as many locally based companies as possible, so that these are the people who are helping us there. When it comes, so with that issue, we've got it nice there in green, so we're done. If we go to enabling works quickly again, just to recap, there we're doing mainly the bulk earthworks, I think there. No, okay, that's something different. So we're just doing a few issues there, clearing the site and doing the cut and balancing. So there again, we're 100% complete. I don't think we have to redo that. These are the people that we work with there. We have a lot of Bulawayo-based companies who we see that helped us in that phase. So we covered that previously. We don't have to stick here. Maybe for those who were not there last time, I'll just try. Let me see if it will allow me. It won't allow me to.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, okay. There it is. I just might not have my speaker. I don't have the speaker. The speaker. You've got. Okay, let's try it now.
This is where we're dumping to fill in. It looks like we've got sufficient material on site to do all the infill, and that we will need to bring nothing on site. Right there over there is also loading trucks, 2 trucks.
So if you recall at the time before we started, this side was high, we had imported Napagatinali, so we've now cut it to the seat when we go inside. So if we talk about those enabling works, I think we're happy there. We can go maybe now to civil works. Here with civil works as well, we talk about your bulk lines, sewer, electrical and stuff, so I think all that should be fine. Some of the people that were helping us there, water pipes was flow plastics, J-Man was water valves, Young pipes was the storm water, PPC, China, or Shane Zimbabwe, or Shane bricks, Davis granite, aggregates, and so forth. So again, we tried to use as many Bulawayo-based companies as possible. Just to recap quickly, just to remember where we were at the time. This was here, they're putting some water lines just to do a quick recall. You can see also the storm water for the sewer, I think had already been done at that time. I think just recalling this so when you walk there, people can remember what we've done previously, and how we're trying to move step by step, going up to where we need to go to. This again, I think here they were putting storm water. Here I think the guys have been working, it had been raining for a long time, but they were still working during the rain to try and make up for time that had been lost previously. So it was not easy at this stage, but the guys did a very good job to do the work that they actually did. So when you walk there now, you won't see all these funny things underground. Okay, so that helps us. So now we're going to come to our building works in terms of where we want to be. So if we look at it, so building works now is where we'll be talking about constructing the informal trader stores and the taxi rank. In doing the informal trader stores, there's different areas. There will be the actual, if we can call it the actual brickwork side and the steelwork side. We'll talk that on site. And then there will also be for the taxi rank, the actual roads, the islands, and the structural steel. We'll also talk about that when we are on site. In terms of the people that we are working with, here maybe we've had a slight dilution of our Bulawayo companies. You see here there's too many of these guys here. But it's mainly because of steel. So unfortunately for steel, that's where we have to get our steel from. So for our columns and rafters, that was Max Steel. Our cord rolls, purlins, Max Steel as well. Our plates from Red Hot, because they assist us with the laser cutting. Reinforcing was RMS, but not all reinforcing. But these were reinforcing mainly for the taxi rank. Roof sheeting, that's also South Africa, and then fabrication will also be there. So we thought that it would be easier to do that and then bring it in. Oh, sorry, the guys didn't finish. There's some areas there where they didn't finish putting the names of the service providers. So there where we are, we'll take you through our site. You will see and we'll explain each section what has been done there and what will help. Fortunately, we've got Mr. Peter Edmonds is here with us. He will help us to explain a few issues. Here, maybe Peter, you can help us with this. What these wonderful people are doing here with their concrete stuff.
Here are doing the platforms for the trader stores. When you go on site, you'll see these big concrete plinths and with vendor stores, trader stores under construction.
Yeah, we've got about 80 of those. Yeah, there's 80.
I can't even count that.
They're supposed to be there. So this was right at the beginning. So I think you also see there. I think the guys they do try to put a lot of care putting the DPC and all that stuff. They just don't pour concrete onto the ground and cause us problems at a later stage. In fact, this for the informal traders, this rebar here was actually pump and steel. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or was it steel force?
It's pump and steel and steel force.
And steel force. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, that table is wrong there. So for the informal traders, we did try with some of the local guys. We've got a few here. Maybe okay. This is what here they were starting their brickwork. So you will see there. You'll note as well that I think on last week we had actually done an advert to ask for a few more bricklayers to come and assist, because this is the area where we're thinking that maybe we could try to be more on the general labor side. So it was bricklayers and general laborers. I don't know, Tambo, maybe you can do, I know there was a question to say, how did that process go? In terms of that advert of bricklayers and whatever, how many people responded, how is it going, and so forth. When we get out there, I think where we're actually going. Yeah, I think we just part of the taxi rate being delivered onto site. I think this is it was 88, I think 88 columns, so that would be out of 120. So maybe just about 60-70% of 60% of the taxi rate in terms of the columns. They will still be delivering this week. They are delivering again another 25 tons in terms of the other materials for the roof structures, and the following week to make the actual sheeting. So what we see when we get onto site as well is that we've set out the taxi rate. So we want to start now working on cutting out and putting in all the concrete bases, and then we'll actually take it from there. So that will continue. Right. So there's my quick briefing.
So after this, the media had an opportunity to visit the construction site to get a sense of the work that is being done there. They also were given an opportunity to ask further questions from the officials.
At the moment, we are using our concrete mixer to mix, and that dictates the pace at which you can pour concrete. So if you are pouring, if we had a batching plant, we would actually move a little bit faster. Previously, I think we still got 2 concrete mixers. So normally both will be operating at the same time. But then today I think we just got this one because the other team is off today. But if we can get a batching plant, it can help for us to have a faster pace on site. So where we are here, this is the informal traders area. So if I can just show you something quickly here, you will see that it's made up of 3, if I can put it, 3 rows of islands. So you have this first row, you have the middle row, then you have the further row. There are 60 islands in total, and each island has got about 20. Each island's got about 20 informal traders stalls inside it. Now, what you see, we started that side, bringing the informal trader stalls this way, but to allow for working space there, they've set out that side, and they are also going to be excavating and bringing the islands this way. The speed at which this exercise will work will be determined by the speed as well and the rate at which we can produce that concrete to be able to pour. So at the moment, that is our issue that we're trying to control and resolve. In terms of the informal traders, to be able to do that, once you've poured the concrete, this surface bed that we actually are on, we then just put river sand, and then we put the paving on there. Is that correct? Where's Peter Edmonds?
Yeah, that is correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we just put the river sand, and then we put the paving stones. So it means, therefore, last time when we were here, we were 2 bases off. Is that correct? Samsung, where's last time when we were here, we were 2 bases off, right? So we did both, and this is now this is final layer.
The layer which is
It's pavers. Okay, all right. And then, so what we're going to be doing then is to be able to, our thing that we need to solve now is how do we increase the rate at which we're able to produce the concrete and to be able to pour, because that is going to have an impact on the timetable. Does it involve bringing another concrete mixer? We're not too sure, because obviously you have to also work with safety issues. So we are going to be solving those issues with our service provider. Once you've done the concrete bases, and we then do the brickwork. So I think we can go there and just see it. Each slab will take how much is it? It's 20. You can just check it. It's about 20. It's about 20, eh? On average, it's about 20 informal trader stalls. So our informal trader, because we had to accommodate 1,100 informal traders. So because we had to accommodate 1,100 informal traders, you have to balance between space and numbers. So our focus mainly is around trying to give as many people an opportunity to be able to participate here. So you will see this is our informal trader stall. That's just the shape. You'll get a better sense of size over there. And height, they still got to raise it a little bit. So there'll be an under section with your doors, and then there'll be the top section that they cast. As Utamsang has explained, that this is the final layer. You just put paving bricks. So it means we just put paving bricks against the concrete like this. This is where they'll be standing, and this is where they'll actually be operating. We'll all be, this whole area will be paving bricks. That whole area. So you can see from that perspective that the main focus then for us is to try and push as hard as possible on the brickwork, finish the informal, the other concrete slabs that side, and then start the paving whilst also installing the steel structures on top. Like we indicated earlier, we had called for more bricklayers to assist us, because if you can imagine, we have to be doing brickwork from here all the way to that other side. So we need a lot more teams. There are bricks over there. You can see they've got enough bricks to be attending to, and then we'll be able to actually push that. But here the main issue is this slab here, the speed at which our operation there can produce the concrete. That is what is going to dictate our pace as we move forward there. So here it will be delayed compared to there in terms of opening. So maybe let's go over there, which is and there. That is actually our taxi rank. So maybe we can just get an understanding in terms of where we are, in terms of what base levels where we are, and what work is still required in terms of this surface from our engineer.
So this, you're looking at the base course here. It's just got to be polished, what they call the final cut and the final compaction. But the islands will be formed first, and these are the setting out of the islands that have been done so far. So in other words, it's something similar to there, but much bigger, obviously. The steel work lying over there is for the roofs of the taxi rank. So the taxis will be on either side on interlocking paving, interlocking block pavers. Passengers will get underneath cover, and then they'll make their way up that central wall, eventually straight up into Leopold Tapawera. But for the time being, when the development is going on, when we walk through where the bricks are piled, they'll be diverted around to the road. There's a service lane going to run on the northern end of the site from Bash Street to Lopengula Street. So in terms of what's got to be done here, the next step here is to form the islands.
So to form the islands, we're going to use the curbs. So the curbs which are already
curbs on site over there.
They're already up there, yeah.
Will be used to form the islands, and then the backfill and all that kind of stuff. The key block will be laid, and then the surfacing goes in between the key block where the taxis actually run.
Yeah.
Does that sort of make sense?
So here in terms of process, then what about the columns, the bases?
Okay, so they will be incorporated as part of the island. Very similar to what you saw happening when we looked at one of the islands over there where the rebar was in the bottom there.
Yes.
And
Okay.
then I'm not familiar with the detail. I'll have to check the detail whether it's raw bolted in or whether there's actual form of holding down bolts cast in.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So now in terms of this process here, it's much clearer because already we've got our curbs to be able to form the islands. The fill we just there is fill there for the inside of the islands, the pavers and the rest. So here in terms of the program, we are looking that we would like to target somewhere between end of June, beginning of July, if we can finish this process. But mainly, if we're moving at the pace we are moving, because we also need to pour concrete into the bases. So maybe towards the end of July, all the structures in terms of the sheds and everything will be up. But in terms of cutting the bases, putting in the rebar and pouring the concrete, that we will be looking to start next week because they've already set out. So you'll see these stones are almost a third of the way. They will continue, the surveyors will continue setting out the rest of the taxi rank as they go, but at least here we can actually start working in terms of forming the islands. So the taxi rank will now be actually taking proper shape, and you'll be able to see it going week by week coming alive. Is there anything else?
I just think you mentioned to me that there's 25 tons of steel that is on
Yeah.
the site already. There's another 30 tons arriving
Next week, yeah.
Next week.
Yeah. And then the last 30 the following week, which will be the roofing and stuff. So the rafters, purlins, that's the next load that is coming. It's leaving now to arrive probably, depending what happens at the border. It will arrive early next week, the second load, and then the final load the following week. Okay. Any questions?
I want to know when do we start seeing steel going up?
I
I think that's what everyone wants to know.
Yes.
Because we've been spending all this money on under the ground and everything else. People want to know when we're going to see the building.
Yes,
When
yeah,
it's coming out the ground.
yeah. That's a very good question. Where is Mr. Tamsang? Mr. Tamsang, to excavate and pour concrete, because you've got your concrete, you've got your reinforcing there. To excavate and pour, would I be out of order in terms of the program we're working with your other Tamsang on that side, TTL, to say that if we start this week, we can wait 14 days to start to let some of the first few islands to cure, so that the steel work will then we should see it starting to go up 14 days after this coming week.
After you pull it.
The first few islands. How long does the concrete need to cure before we start bolting? Because remember, what are they using? Chemical anchors. Okay.
Oh, so it's actually directly onto the concrete.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the curing period? I don't know what the engineers had said.
14 days.
Yeah, 14 days. Okay. All right. So to excavate, put the rebar and start pouring. When can we say maybe the first few, or let's say the first 3 islands, for example, we should be done.
Columns up there.
We'll have poured the concrete so we can calculate 14 days from there. Yeah. No, not all. What we want to be able to do is to finish this taxi rank, and then the informal traders. That was the original idea, almost simultaneously. However, as you can see, our challenge is the mixing of the concrete. So what we will be doing is we'll be finishing some of them as we go, but to finish all 1,200 of them, maybe that will be then towards sometime in August, because depending on how fast we are mixing the concrete.
And which one do you think you can finish first? This other phase on the tech side, or
okay,
or you want to move them and complete them at the same time?
But I think if you look at it, if you look at the site, also we have to look at it technically, maybe to say, if you look at the working area, can you work this side and then move this side? These are some of the considerations. But because we are ready here already on the taxi rank, as we said, it's now forming the islands, pouring the concrete. We will be trying to push them both simultaneously, and but I think the taxi rank will probably finish earlier.
From a commercial standpoint, the taxi rank has to be first. Because without the taxis, you're going to tell the hookers to come straight to the construction workers. So there's no doubt that from a commercial standpoint, you need to get the taxi rank operating properly for then the hookers have the footfall to do the business.
And then what of handing over this phase to the local authority? When might you be handing it over?
No, when you say hand over,
like when will you see
when people can move in?
Yes.
Okay, okay. When can people move in? So what the dates that we talk about are practical completion dates. So then obviously you might add a week or two or more, depending on council doing their final inspections and certifying it, so that people can actually, the public can actually occupy the area. But we focus mainly on practical completion, that here it is, it's now ready for final inspection. And those are the timelines that we are talking now. But because council is here, I don't think it should be much longer than that. And as we move, we're working with them. They're doing inspections stage by stage as we are going. So I don't think we should have a problem.
I also think we've also done well on the procurement of materials side as well. That's also proved to be a bit of a challenge. But I think we are, fully procured now with the steel that's coming over the next 2 weeks. So on the material side, we shouldn't have any more. Just as Tulani says, on the operational side, trying to get a high throughput in terms of cubic meters per day in concrete that we can then cost. I know, as we said earlier, there has been a call out for further bricklayers, etc., to help on this stage. Remember, we're getting to a point in the project now where there's a lot more opportunity for people to work. It's mainly been the machines that have been working up until now with all the earthwork. So it's now more finicky, more labour-intensive work that needs to happen. Certainly more beneficial for the people, the economy, the local economy now, as the wage bill should go up substantially. So for me, it's always exciting when you get to a stage like this, because you're now at ground zero. You can now start building. You can always start accelerating. I don't know if you guys noticed as you came down the challenges. You saw that rock cliff. That was rock. To dig into that was a huge challenge. But now that we are, as I say, on ground zero, hopefully, Tulani, your advert could have put more.
First and foremost, the project is very much behind schedule. But from the explanations that we have been given, and also in terms of the project procedures, from time to time we are briefed as a local authority on the challenges that are there. And if we are convinced that for sure these challenges are there and they are realistic, we understand it. And from the look of things, with what they are saying now, we may have wanted this to be done in June, and we may want it to be completed like yesterday, or even them promising to do it tomorrow. But let's be realistic. If we look at what they are saying, probably end of July, or maybe end of August. That is what I think is realistic. So that when we go back to our residents, let's give them something that is possible, not to just tell them tomorrow when it is not possible, because we will have so many explanations to make. So realistically, let's look at August, end of August, this thing starting operating.
As all of you saw today, what is the stage at Egodini Mall now, and you heard the explanations from the contractor about the challenges that they are facing and the deadlines that they are proposing. I think for now, let's take their word. Let's believe in what they've said, and the time will come that if it is not true, it will be out. But what we need to know as a people is that we must not be in any attitude of just stopping business to take place. Let's give them an opportunity to do business. Let's support them. And we all know how the economic situation is, and vis-a-vis this massive construction. But we ask residents of Bulawayo to be patient, as they've been patient. To be patient with them. They are almost starting, what I can say. But with the look of things, before the end of year, we'll be having buses here and informal traders here. And what is important is that we must know that these are Bulawayo people. We must try and support our own people. Who can we support if we don't support our own people? Thank you.
Come to the end of our program Fix My City on Asake Online. My name is Lesley Moyo. Let's meet again in the next edition of the program.